Hello, this is Lady Boulay, and I hope you're having a wonderful day. Thank you for your support. Thank you for subscribing to the channel. Thank you for your comments, and thank you for your thumbs up. Thank you for all you do to support the channel. And yes, we are commanded to love one another, whether we want to or not, or whether we agree with each other or not. And today we're talking about the Asians getting a huge wake-up call. And this is one you want to hear because a lot of talk has gone on about ending affirmative action. So now we're going to look at what it really meant for Black college students and Asian college students. Did Asian enrollment really go up after affirmative action ended? People online keep saying Asian enrollment exploded after affirmative action ended. But when you actually look at the numbers, that's not what happened at all. Today, I'm breaking down what really happened at elite universities after the Supreme Court decision using actual enrollment data, not narratives, not assumptions, and not the internet's favorite talking points. So the Supreme Court ended affirmative action in college enrollment. And so the Asians thought, okay, now we're going to get all those slots that those unqualified Black people are taking up in these elite universities. Let's see what happened. The internet story versus the real story. The popular story is simple. Affirmative action ended, so Asian students flooded elite schools. But the real data shows something completely different. The changes were modest, inconsistent, and nowhere near the dramatic surge people predicted. So, what do the numbers actually show? Let's look at the first admission cycle after the ruling. Columbia University, Asian enrollment up noticeably. Brown University, also up. Harvard, no change. The percentage stayed the same. Yale, down. Princeton, down. Dartmouth, slight decline. So, yes, some schools went up, but others went down. And nationally, across thousands of colleges, Asian enrollment stayed mostly flat. So they did not get that big surge in enrollment that they thought they were going to get once Black students' enrollment at those elite schools went down. While there wasn't a massive surge in Asian enrollment, and this is where it gets interesting, the idea that affirmative action was dramatically suppressing Asian enrollment was always overstated. Elite admissions are influenced by a whole ecosystem: test scores, essays, extracurriculars, institutional priorities, legacy admissions, athletic recruitment, and donor influence. Removing one factor doesn't automatically overhaul the entire system. And Harvard and a few of those other schools said from the start there wasn't going to be any change in their Asian enrollment. And they were right, it wasn't. The biggest enrollment change wasn't among Asian students, it was among Black students. Many elite schools saw noticeable declines in Black freshman enrollment after the ruling. That's where the most significant impact shows up, even though it gets less attention. And the reason is because even though the enrollment at elite schools went down for Black students, the enrollment increased in HBCUs and in flagship state schools like the University of Alabama, the University of Texas, the University of Virginia. Those enrollments went up. So Black students chose, in some cases, not to go to those elite schools, even when they had the test scores that the Asians were riding on. And I really applaud Black students for that, even though they had high test scores, because we see that showing up on Facebook all the time. Black students who aced the ACT or the SAT. Those are high priority students, and several of the elite schools admitted them and offered scholarships, but they chose to go to an HBCU or a flagship state school. And I really like that about them, because what I hear them saying is that I can make my life work without going to Harvard. According to reports, it'll take several years before we see a clear long-term pattern in these elite schools. But right now, there was no dramatic surge. Neither white nor Asian students had a great surge. There was no trend. But what they did do was they kept their legacy students, they kept the athletes, and the children of the big money donors kept their slots, whether they had the test scores or not. They kept their slots like they always do. So this was not a big win for the Asians. What it was a huge wake-up call. So why didn't Asian enrollment in these elite universities increase after affirmative action ended? Well, here's the thing. Many elite schools publicly said they would not shift to a test score heavy model. They kept their legacy preferences, donor preferences, athletic recruitments, and holistic review. They also wanted personality and essay weighing in on it. They didn't all, in other words, they didn't want a school full of Asians. They didn't care what they made on the test score. So the decline in the Black student population did not help the Asians, because at the end of the day, they kept their same policy for how they were recruiting students. And they didn't want a school full of one demographic. So, in addition to applauding Black students for exercising other options than going to elite schools, I also applaud these elite schools for not bowing to the pressure of allowing all of the Asians that wanted to get in their school to get into their schools. They have their own priorities of what they want their school to look like. They want to draw from a certain number of low income students who may have very high test scores but may not have the financial means to go to college. They want a certain number of those high achieving students in their school. And they want students who have specific kinds of talents, not just somebody who can make a high score on a test. And so those schools stuck to their guns and said, we are going to continue the policy that we have because it's balanced and it's working for our university. And we're not going to be pressured into taking in students based on one criteria. So I like that about these elite schools. So keep up the good work, elite schools. All right, y'all, let me know what you think about this video and have a good day.